Ambassador Olivia Grant stood at the viewport of her quarters, gazing at the swirling blue and purple nebula that surrounded the massive Galactic Council station. 10 years she had served here. 10 years of smiles, nods, and diplomatic language while the elder races treated humans like children who had accidentally wandered into the adults' dinner party. Today had been the final straw. She could still see Council Elder Xerixian's face, all 4 of his eyes narrowing in that particular way that suggested both boredom and contempt. The Moravian had dismissed Earth's carefully researched proposal about the void flux with a wave of his long, 6-fingered hand. The human understanding of dimensional physics remains primitive, he had said, his translator giving the last word a special emphasis. We appreciate Earth's concern, but the Council has been managing such phenomena for millennia before your species discovered electricity. The chamber had filled with the clicking sounds that passed for laughter among the Zinthari delegates. Olivia's communication device chimed. "Ambassador, the President is waiting," her assistant said. In her office, Olivia activated the secure channel. President Samantha Powell's face appeared, looking as tired as Olivia felt. "I assume from your expression that it went exactly as we expected," the President said. "Worse," Olivia replied. "They didn't just reject our proposal. Elder Xerixian suggested that perhaps humans weren't ready for full Council membership after all." The President's jaw tightened. "After everything we've contributed. After we solved their Kelrathi plague. After human ships have been patrolling the Outer Rim because their fleets are too precious to risk. They've forgotten all of that, or choose not to remember," Olivia said. "And there's more. We received confirmation from Admiral Harlow 10 minutes ago." She sent the classified images to the President's terminal. They showed Calderan warships deploying what were clearly weapons platforms near the human colony on Proxima B. "They're moving against us while smiling to our faces," Olivia said. The President was silent for a long moment. "I'm calling an emergency session. The coalition government will vote tonight." She paused. "We've prepared for this day, Olivia. For years we've been ready. Are we really going to do it?" Olivia asked, her heart beating faster. "The vote will tell, but yes, I believe we are. Humanity has outgrown the Council. They want our innovation, our adaptability, our solutions, but they don't want us as equals." Meanwhile, halfway across the galaxy, Admiral Jack Harlow watched the same weapons platform footage on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship *Determination*. His XO, Commander Lisa Chen, stood at his side. "Orders, sir?" she asked. "No engagement," Harlow said. "Not yet. But move the 4th Fleet into position behind Jupiter. If those Calderan ships make one wrong move near our colonies, I want to be breathing down their necks in minutes, not hours." "Yes, sir," Commander Chen said, then hesitated. "Is it true what they're saying? That we're leaving the Council?" Harlow's weathered face remained neutral. "That's for the politicians to decide, Commander." In the White House Situation Room, President Powell faced the assembled leaders of Earth's coalition government. Representatives from every continent sat around the large table, faces grim. "For 50 years, humanity has been part of the Galactic Council," she said. "We joined with hope, with optimism, believing we would be welcomed as equals. We have contributed technology, medicine, art, and security. In return, we have been patronized, restricted, and now threatened." She displayed the images of the Calderan weapons platforms. "This is happening while our ambassador sits in council chambers being told that humans don't understand basic physics," she continued. "I believe the time has come to chart our own course among the stars." Vice President Garcia nodded. "The Independent Human Alliance option." "Yes," Powell said. "Complete withdrawal from the Council, establishment of our own diplomatic and trade network, and activation of the independent defense protocols we've been developing." She looked around the room. "I don't take this lightly. The Council races will not react well. There will be economic disruption, possibly military confrontation. But I believe humanity's future lies in independence, not in continuing to beg for respect from species that will never give it. The Defense Secretary spoke up. The military is ready, Madam President. We've been preparing contingencies for years. Powell nodded. Then let's vote. The future of humanity among the stars is in our hands. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was filled to capacity. Representatives from over 7,000 worlds packed the tiered seating that rose like a massive bowl around the central speaking platform. The air buzzed with tension, and the various breathing apparatuses of diverse species created an odd symphony of hisses and clicks. Ambassador Olivia Grant stood tall at the center of it all. Her blue diplomatic uniform was pressed perfectly, the golden Earth emblem on her chest catching the light. She had received the vote results 3 hours ago. Unanimity. Humanity would chart its own path. The delegation from Earth requests formal recognition, she said, her voice steady. Elder Xerixian, the Moravian who had dismissed their void flux findings, nodded with his typical air of boredom. The Council recognizes Earth, though we remind the ambassador that the emergency session called to discuss the growing void flux phenomena was scheduled to begin 5 minutes ago. Olivia stepped forward, every eye, stalk, and sensory organ in the chamber fixed on her. I will be brief, Elder. For 50 years, humanity has participated in this council. We have shared our technology, our resources, our creativity. We have bled and died defending council interests. She paused. And for 50 years, we have been treated as children at the adults' table. A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Today, by unanimous vote of Earth's coalition government, I am authorized to announce that Earth and all human colonies hereby withdraw from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The chamber exploded into chaos. The Phylorian delegates rose from their seats, their leaf-like appendages fluttering in distress. The nebula representatives began glowing bright orange, a sign of extreme agitation. Elder Xerixian's 4 eyes widened for perhaps the first time in his long diplomatic career. Order, he shouted, but the chamber continued in uproar. Olivia continued, raising her voice. We will establish the Independent Human Alliance. We will negotiate separate treaties with any species who wish to do so. All current human participation in council initiatives will cease within 30 standard days. From his lab on Mars Colony, Dr. Alan Russell watched the broadcast with growing concern. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, he understood better than most how intertwined human medical technology had become with council operations. Beside him, screens displayed the immediate market reaction: galactic stocks plummeting, trade futures collapsing. They never thought we'd actually do it, he muttered to his assistant. Across the solar system, in a secure research facility beneath Europa's ice, weapons researcher Diane Powell received the news with mixed emotions. Her quantum displacement shield, the most advanced defensive technology ever developed by humans, had been scheduled for council review next month. Now, it would remain exclusively in human hands. Begin implementation across all human colonies, came the order from Earth Defense Command. Priority to outer settlements. Back in the council chamber, Elder Xerixian finally managed to restore some semblance of order. Ambassador Grant, this is unprecedented, he said, his voice betraying actual emotion for once. The economic and security implications alone were considered thoroughly before our decision. Olivia interrupted. Perhaps if our concerns had been given the same consideration by this body, today's announcement would be unnecessary. The Phylorian delegation approached the central platform. Ambassador, we request immediate consultation. Our medical systems will continue to function with existing human technology, Olivia said, but future developments will remain within the alliance. The Moravian trade minister rose from his seat. This is outrageous. Earth's economy will collapse without council markets. For the first time, Olivia allowed herself a small smile. Our economic models suggest otherwise, Minister, In fact, they indicate that several council races are far more dependent on human innovation than they have been willing to admit. As she spoke, the first reports were already coming in. 3 major trade routes had suspended operations within minutes of her announcement. The galactic credit had dropped 8% in value against resource-backed currencies. Leaving the chamber amid continued chaos, Olivia transmitted a simple message to President Powell. It's done. On Earth, President Powell addressed her own people. Today marks a new chapter in human history. We step away from a table where we were never truly welcome to build our own future among the stars. There will be challenges ahead, but humanity has always thrived when faced with adversity. The Independent Human Alliance begins now. 1 week after Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, the true impact began to ripple across the stars. Commander Ryan Kelly floated in zero gravity beside the massive Council defense platform orbiting Ta Ceti. His team of engineers worked quickly to disconnect human systems from the alien technology. "Hurry it up, people," Kelly said into his comm. "Calderon ships were spotted in the next sector. I don't want to be here when they arrive." A young engineer named Patel looked up from her work. "Sir, if we remove these systems, the entire platform will be defenseless against the void flux." Kelly's face hardened behind his helmet visor. "Those are our orders. The Council didn't think our void flux research was worth their time. Now they can handle it without our help." Across the galaxy, 3 major trade routes had collapsed without human merchant fleets. The galactic credit had lost nearly a third of its value as human worlds switched to the new Earth dollar. Merchant ships sat idle at spaceports, unable to navigate the complex jump points without human-designed guidance systems. On the frontier world of Ceres 9, a human mining outpost faced a different problem. 5 Calderon warships appeared in orbit, their weapons trained on the small settlement below. "This outpost is now under Calderon protection," announced the alien commander. "Surrender your facilities." The outpost leader, Frank Dawson, looked at his security chief with a grim smile. "Activate the shield." Seconds later, a shimmering barrier of energy enveloped the entire settlement. The Calderons fired and watched in shock as their weapons dissipated harmlessly against Diane Powell's quantum displacement shield. The technology Earth had never shared with the Council. "Send a message," Dawson told his communications officer. "Tell them they have 1 hour to leave this system, or we'll demonstrate our new defense system's offensive capabilities." The Calderon ships retreated within 20 minutes. On the Council homeworld of Mirov Prime, scientist Zyklot stared in horror at his findings. The Phylorian's leaf-like appendages trembled as he addressed the emergency council session. 43% of our medical technology relies on human-designed components and algorithms, he reported. The autonomous medical units serving our outer colonies have already begun to fail without regular updates from Earth systems. Elder Xerixian's usual composure had vanished. How did we become so dependent on them? A Zentheri representative clicked rapidly, their version of nervous laughter. "We encouraged their innovation while restricting their influence. They built our systems while we thought we were merely allowing them to contribute." News traveled fast. Within days, representatives from the Ventarian Pax, species considered minor by Council standards, arrived at Earth's new embassy on Harmony Station. "We seek separate treaties with the Human Alliance," said the Ventari ambassador, her translucent skin glowing with sincerity. "Our people have always valued human creativity." President Powell welcomed them personally, much to the Council's dismay. "The Alliance is open to friendship with all species who treat us as equals," she announced. Meanwhile, on the edges of known space, the void flux grew worse. 3 non-human worlds showed signs of dimensional instability, precisely as Earth's ignored research had predicted. Council scientist Zyklot sent an unofficial message to Dr. Russell on Mars. "Your models were correct. The flux accelerates. Can we still talk?" The emergency council session stretched into its 5th day with no resolution. The Moravians blamed the Zentheri for driving humans away. The nebula suggested capitulation to human demands. The Calderons threatened military action, even as their ships returned damaged from failed intimidation attempts against human colonies. "This is unprecedented," Elder Xerixian admitted in a private session. "We never imagined they would actually leave, or that the consequences would be so extensive." His aide, younger and less bound by tradition, spoke carefully. "Perhaps we should have treated them as equals while we had the chance." Xerixian's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Perhaps, but now we must deal with the reality before us. The humans have left, and the universe is beginning to unravel without them." In Earth's New Alliance headquarters, Admiral Harlow reviewed reports from across human space with satisfaction. "Phase 1 complete," he told President Powell. "The Council now understands what they've lost." Powell nodded. "And Phase 2? Already in motion," Harlow replied. "Dr. Wright is ready to unveil the Prometheus engine." 3 months after Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, Dr. Natalie Wright stood in her laboratory on Alpha Centauri. Behind her, a small device hummed quietly, emitting a soft blue glow that seemed too gentle for something so powerful. "The Prometheus engine is ready," she told the gathered officials from the Human Alliance. "We've kept this technology secret for 5 years, developing it while the Council thought we were still working with outdated fusion systems." President Powell approached the device, examining it with wonder. "And this can power an entire city." "An entire continent," Wright corrected, "with 0 radiation and no harmful byproducts. The energy density is beyond anything the Council races have achieved." Admiral Harlow nodded with satisfaction. "And they called our understanding of physics primitive." Across the stars, the Moravian Assembly faced a crisis. Their sophisticated navigation arrays, the pride of their civilization, were failing. Chief Engineer Kyle Barnes had been brought in as a consultant, the first human allowed on the Moravian homeworld since the withdrawal. "Your system is impressive," Barnes told the Moravian engineers, "but its maintenance protocols require human updates you've been blocking." "Why?" asked the lead Moravian engineer. "Why build in this dependency?" Barnes smiled. "We didn't. You did. You insisted our systems interface with yours through specific protocols. Protocols that need regular adaptation because space itself is constantly changing. We told you this design was flawed. You ignored us." On the edge of known space, the void flux had grown worse. 3 non-human worlds now showed alarming signs of dimensional instability. Their atmospheres occasionally became transparent, revealing terrifying glimpses of another reality trying to break through. Lieutenant Grace Mason piloted her patrol ship, the *Defiant*, near the edge of a flux zone. Her orders were clear: observe but do not engage. No contact with Council races. Then her sensors picked up a distress call. A Xinthari research vessel was caught in a gravity eddy, being pulled toward the flux. Mason bit her lip. Orders were orders, but *Defiant* to Xinthari vessel. She transmitted. "Hold position. We're coming to assist." Her XO looked alarmed. "Lieutenant, our orders." "I know our orders," Mason said firmly, "but I'm not watching them die." Using techniques developed for the void flux that the Council had dismissed, Mason maneuvered her ship into position and extended a stabilizing beam to the alien vessel. The Xinthari ship's captain's voice came through, clicking in surprise and gratitude. "Human vessel, you saved us." "Why?" "Because that's what humans do," Mason replied simply. News of the rescue spread quickly across Council space. It was not an isolated incident. Despite official no-contact orders, human ships increasingly responded to distress calls near flux zones, the only vessels able to safely operate there. Meanwhile, a shadow economy emerged. Council worlds, desperate for human technology, established black markets. A data chip of human medical algorithms could trade for a small fortune. Engineering solutions commanded prices that would bankrupt small governments. Dr. Alan Russell's secure communication terminal chimed with an incoming message from Zyklot, his Phylorian counterpart. The Council was wrong, the alien scientist admitted. Your void flux models were correct. 3 more worlds show early signs of instability. Our leadership refuses to acknowledge the severity. Russell sighed. We tried to warn you. I know. Zyklot's leaf-like features drooped on the screen. Can we still cooperate? Unofficially. Russell glanced at the Human Alliance security officer standing nearby, who gave a slight nod. Send me your data, Russell said. Let's see what we can do. On the Council's central world, Elder Xerixian faced unprecedented challenges. Without human security protocols, piracy had increased by 70% along major trade routes. Medicine shortages affected hundreds of worlds, and now reports came in of human ships operating in flux zones with technologies the Council had never seen. They were hiding their true capabilities all along, he realized aloud. His aide nodded. And now the question remains, what else are they hiding? In her office on Harmony Station, President Powell reviewed the growing list of species requesting separate treaties with the Human Alliance. The so-called minor races of the Council were breaking away one by one. Phase 2 is complete, Admiral Harlow reported. The Council is beginning to fracture, and the Prometheus engine unveiling has made it clear we're technologically superior. Good, Powell said. Now we move to Phase 3. Prepare the Prometheus network proposal. It's time to show them we can save what they cannot. 6 months after humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, Harmony Station orbited Earth like a shining silver wheel against the blue planet. Inside its grand meeting hall, President Samantha Powell welcomed representatives from 28 minor council species. The Human Alliance thanks you for accepting our invitation, she said, looking at the diverse gathering of beings. Some had tentacles, others wings, and a few were just clouds of intelligent gas in containment suits. Unlike the Council, we believe all voices deserve equal respect. The Ventari representative, a tall being with translucent skin showing swirling colors beneath, spoke first. For centuries, the elder races dismissed our concerns. Now they face collapse without human innovation. President Powell nodded. We've all seen the reports. Council space is in crisis. The void flux grows worse. Piracy is rampant. Medical systems are failing. A ripple of agreement moved through the gathering. Today, Powell continued, we offer a new path forward. Not a council where some dictate to others, but an alliance of equals, each bringing their unique strengths to our common future. Meanwhile, in a secluded chamber nearby, Ambassador Volith of the Nebula met secretly with Admiral Harlow. The Nebula were one of the elder races, proud and ancient. Their bioluminescent skin glowed faintly blue in the dimmed room. My government sent me unofficially, Volith said. They would deny this meeting if asked publicly. Harlow nodded. I understand. We wish to establish exclusive trade with humans. Our navigation systems can no longer safely map the jump points near flux zones. Only your ships can still travel there. Harlow leaned forward. And what do you offer in return? Access to our ancient libraries, star maps from before the Council existed, and, Volith hesitated, recognition of the Human Alliance as an equal power in the galaxy. Across Council space, markets had emerged that specialized in human solutions. They called them human solution markets, where desperate aliens traded valuable resources just for consultation with human engineers or scientists. On the colony world of New Eden, Captain Peter Martinez met with the leaders of the Ventari Collective. His ship, the Horizon Asterisk, had just helped evacuate a Ventari research station threatened by void flux. Our people are grateful, said the Ventari leader. The Council abandoned us. You came. Martinez nodded. Humanity may have left the Council, but we never left the galaxy. We wish to propose something bold, the Ventari continued. A defense pact between our peoples. Your technology, our resources. Martinez smiled. I believe we can work something out. Back on the Galactic Council's central world, the Phylorians publicly questioned the treatment of humans that had led to the withdrawal. "For 50 years, we dismissed human insights," said the Phylorian representative. "Now the void flux grows exactly as they predicted, and we lack the tools to fight it." Elder Xerixian, once the most dismissive of humans, now looked aged and tired. "What would you have us do? Beg them to return?" "If necessary, yes," the Phylorian replied. On Mars Colony, Dr. Alan Russell's team made a disturbing discovery. Their latest models showed the void flux was accelerating beyond all previous predictions. "At this rate, dimensional collapse will begin within 2 years," he told President Powell via secure channel. "Not in isolated areas, but across entire sectors." Powell's face remained calm, but her eyes showed concern. "Can it be stopped?" "Possibly," Russell said, "but it would require technology we've never shared with the Council. The Prometheus engine, modified to stabilize dimensional barriers. The same technology they dismissed as primitive physics." Russell nodded. "The very same." Across human space, massive shield arrays were being constructed around inhabited worlds. The Prometheus Network, they called it. A system that could potentially save the galaxy, if humanity chose to share it. In her quarters on Harmony Station, President Powell stared at the latest reports. 20 more worlds had requested alliance membership. The Moravian economy had collapsed. The Zintheri faced civil unrest. And in 6 hours, she would address the galaxy about the void flux crisis. "We've come to the moment of decision," she told Admiral Harlow, who stood nearby. "Do we save those who dismissed us, or let them face the consequences of their arrogance?" Harlow's face was grim. "There are children on those worlds, Madam President. Ordinary people who never had a say in Council policies." Powell nodded slowly. "You're right, of course. Prepare the Prometheus Network proposal. We'll offer to save the galaxy, but this time, on our terms." 9 months after humanity's departure from the Galactic Council, the once mighty organization had splintered into 3 competing alliances. The Moravian Concordat, led by traditionalists who blamed humans for the crisis. The Outer Rim Collective, composed of species friendly to humans. And the Traditional Council, a shadow of its former self. On the Moravian homeworld, food riots broke out as supply chains collapsed. Their economy, built on exporting advanced navigation technology, had crumbled when it became clear that human updates were essential to maintain those systems. Elder Xerixian, once the proud voice of Moravian superiority, announced his resignation in a brief statement. "I failed to see the true nature of our relationship with humanity," he admitted. "The consequences of that blindness now fall upon us all." Admiral Jack Harlow stood on the bridge of the Human Alliance flagship, *Determination*, as it patrolled the edge of human space. A message arrived from Earth Command. "Admiral, the Calderon Empire is attempting to seize the research station at Proxima Centauri. They believe it contains Prometheus engine schematics." Harlow's face hardened. "Set course immediately. Maximum speed." The *Determination* arrived to find 3 Calderon warships surrounding the human research station, their weapons charged. "Calderon vessels, this is Admiral Harlow of the Human Alliance. Withdraw immediately." The Calderon commander's harsh voice came through the comm system. "This station contains technology vital to galactic security. The engine plans must be shared." Harlow nodded to his weapons officer. "Reveal defense grid." Around the research station, hundreds of small satellites suddenly became visible, dropping their stealth fields. The human defense grid, a weapon system far beyond anything humans had ever shared with the Council. "This is your only warning," Harlow said calmly. The Calderon ships retreated within minutes. On a distant world near the galactic core, the void flux consumed its first entire planet. The Zintheri colony of Vex Prime simply vanished one day along with its 80,000 inhabitants. Where a vibrant world once orbited, only a swirling dimensional tear remained. The news spread panic across former Council space. Dr. Natalie Wright studied the readings from Vex Prime's disappearance. her face grim. "It's happening faster than our models predicted," she told President Powell via secure channel. "The flux is feeding on itself now." "Can the Prometheus network stop it?" Powell asked. "A modified version could stabilize the dimensional barriers," Wright replied. "But we would need to place engines at strategic points throughout the galaxy, including deep in former Council territory." Powell was silent for a moment. "That would mean sharing our most advanced technology." "Yes," Wright acknowledged. "The very technology they once dismissed." In the Human Alliance headquarters on Earth, Powell called an emergency meeting of her advisors. The room was tense as they debated the crisis. "They treated us like children for decades," said the defense minister. "Now they face the consequences." Dr. Russell shook his head. "This isn't just about the Council anymore. The void flux will eventually threaten human worlds too. Physics doesn't care about politics." Powell looked around the table. "The question before us is simple but profound. Do we use our technology to save those who dismissed us?" Engineer Kyle Barnes spoke up. "Madam President, when I was young, my father taught me something important. He said, the measure of a person isn't how they treat those who can help them. It's how they treat those who can't." A silence fell over the room. Powell nodded slowly. "Prepare the Prometheus Network proposal. We'll offer our help, but under clear conditions. The era of Council superiority is over." Across the galaxy, on the former Council Central World, representatives from dozens of species gathered in emergency session. The massive chamber, once a symbol of unity, now felt cold and empty with so many seats vacant. A Moravian diplomat rose to speak. "We face extinction. The void flux consumes worlds. Our economies collapse. Medicine runs short." His 4 eyes blinked in humiliation. We must request human assistance." As he spoke, a message arrived from Earth. President Powell's face appeared on the giant screens around the chamber. "To all species of the galaxy," she began, "the Human Alliance has developed a solution to the void flux crisis. We call it the Prometheus Network. We offer this technology freely to all worlds threatened by dimensional instability, provided they recognize the Alliance as equal partners in a new galactic framework." The chamber erupted in a mixture of relief and outrage. Some saw salvation. Others saw humiliation. But as reports of another world showing signs of imminent collapse came in, the debate shifted rapidly. 1 year after humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, the void flux had accelerated beyond all predictions. Dimensional tears appeared throughout the galaxy, swallowing planets and even entire star systems. What began as a scientific curiosity had become an existential threat to all life. Harmony Station, once Earth's diplomatic outpost, now served as the meeting point for all species seeking salvation. Ambassador Olivia Grant stood at the head of the Grand Meeting Hall, facing representatives from over 200 worlds, including all former Council members. "The situation is worse than we feared," she said, displaying the latest scans. "The flux will reach the galactic core within months, not years. Billions of lives are at risk." The Moravian representative, once haughty and superior, now spoke with humility. "The Human Alliance promised a solution. The Prometheus Network. Is it ready?" Olivia nodded to Captain Peter Martinez, who stood nearby. His ship, the Horizon Asterisk, had successfully tested a modified shield against a minor flux incursion. "We've confirmed the technology works," Martinez said. "A network of modified Prometheus engines, placed at strategic points throughout the galaxy, can stabilize the dimensional barriers and halt the flux expansion." "Then why haven't you deployed it yet?" demanded a Calderon general, his armored exoskeleton clicking with agitation. Dr. Alan Russell stepped forward. "Because it requires cooperation on an unprecedented scale. The engines must be placed simultaneously across 200 light-years of space, many in territories your people control." A murmur ran through the gathered representatives. "And of course," Russell continued, "it means sharing our most advanced technology with those who once called our understanding of physics primitive." The chamber fell silent. Back on Earth, President Powell faced her own difficult meeting. The Human Alliance Security Council debated whether to proceed with the Prometheus network deployment. "These are the same species that dismissed us for decades," said the defense minister. "Now we hand them our most advanced technology." Admiral Harlow shook his head. "We're not giving them the technology. Human teams will deploy and operate the engines. They will provide access and resources." "And what if they try to seize the engines?" someone asked. Engineer Kyle Barnes smiled slightly. "They can try. The engines are designed to self-destruct if tampered with. Only humans can maintain them." President Powell listened to the debate, her face revealing nothing of her thoughts. Finally, she raised her hand for silence. "I understand the concerns," she said, "but we must look beyond old grievances. We left the council because they refused to treat us as equals. If we now refuse to help them in their hour of need, how are we any better?" On the bridge of the Horizon Lieutenant Grace Mason prepared for the most dangerous mission of her life. Her ship would deploy a Prometheus engine at the heart of the largest flux zone, where dimensional stability was weakest. "Survival probability is 40%, her science officer reported grimly. Mason nodded. "Better odds than those planets have without us." As preparations for the massive operation continued, Dr. Natalie Wright made a startling discovery in her laboratory. The interface between the Prometheus engines and the dimensional barriers worked more efficiently when coupled with human neural patterns. "There's something about human brainwaves," she explained to President Powell. "They somehow help stabilize the connections between dimensions." "What does that mean practically?" Powell asked. "It means each engine needs a human operator physically present," Wright said, "not just to monitor, but to connect." The implications were enormous. Human operators would be needed throughout the galaxy, at every engine site. The former council races would depend on humanity not just for technology, but for ongoing survival. In a private chamber on Harmony Station, Ambassador Grant met with representatives of the former council elder races. The mood was tense. "Let me be clear," she said. "We're offering to save your worlds. But this isn't charity. The new galactic cooperative we propose will replace the council. All species will have equal voice, equal rights, and equal responsibilities." "You're using this crisis to reshape galactic politics," accused the Moravian representative. "No," Grant replied calmly. "The crisis is reshaping galactic politics. We're offering a path to survival. The choice is yours." As she spoke, the first reports came in of another world vanishing into the flux. The representatives looked at each other. Then one by one, they nodded in agreement. "Very well," said the Moravian. "We accept your terms. When does the deployment begin?" Ambassador Grant's eyes met Admiral Harlow's across the room. "Immediately. We don't have a..." The deployment of the Prometheus network became the largest coordinated effort in galactic history. 500 human ships, each carrying a modified Prometheus engine, traveled to strategic points across 200 light-years of space. Former enemies provided escort, resources, and protection as humanity worked to save worlds that had once dismissed them. Admiral Jack Harlow coordinated the massive operation from Harmony Station. His display showed hundreds of dots moving across the galaxy map, each representing a human crew on a mission with slim chances of return. Engine Team 7 reports successful deployment in the Zintheri sector, reported his communications officer. Team 12 is encountering heavy flux distortion but proceeding. Harlow nodded grimly. And Lieutenant Mason's team. Still on approach to the primary flux point. Conditions are extreme. Sir. Aboard the Horizon Lieutenant Grace Mason guided her ship through reality gone mad. Outside the viewports, space itself rippled and tore. Stars stretched into lines, then spirals, then impossible shapes that hurt the eyes to look upon. "Shield integrity at 60%, her engineer called out. "We're still 10 minutes from deployment coordinates." Mason gripped her controls tighter. "We'll make it. Adjust course 3 degrees starboard. There's a stable pocket we can ride through. On Mars colony, Dr. Alan Russell monitored the neural connections of human operators already linked to deploy engines. Each human served as an anchor, their brain patterns somehow stabilizing the dimensional barriers in ways their most advanced computers could not replicate. "It's remarkable," he told Dr. Wright via comm. "There's something about human consciousness that creates order in the chaos. It's like our minds naturally resist the flux. The question is why?" Wright replied from her lab on Alpha Centauri. "What makes humans different?" As they spoke, a message arrived from President Powell. "The final engine deployment is underway. Be ready to activate the network on my command." Across the galaxy, at hundreds of points, human operators connected their minds to the Prometheus engines. Each experienced a strange double awareness, their physical body in normal space, and a sense of their consciousness extending into the dimensional barriers themselves. Engineer Kyle Barnes, operating an engine near the former Council homeworld, described the sensation. "It's like I can feel the fabric of reality. The tears, the weak spots, and somehow I know how to mend them." On her ship deep in the primary flux zone, Lieutenant Mason finally reached the deployment coordinates. Spatial distortions hammered the horizon from all sides. "Deploying engine now," she announced, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Neural interface online." As her consciousness connected to the engine, Mason gasped. She could see the entire network suddenly. Hundreds of human minds linked across space, each holding back the tide of unreality that threatened to consume the galaxy. On Harmony Station, President Powell received the confirmation she had been waiting for. All engines deployed, network ready for activation. She looked at the gathered representatives of 100 species, former council members, former enemies, now all looking to humanity with hope. "The activation must be simultaneous," she said. "Each engine will create a stabilizing field. Together, they'll form a network that can push back the flux and heal the dimensional barriers." The Moravian representative stepped forward. "What can we do to help?" Powell smiled slightly. "You've already done it. You recognized us as equals. You trusted us. Now we'll show you that trust was justified." She activated her comlink. "All stations, this is President Powell. Activate the Prometheus network on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." Across the galaxy, 200 light-years of space, hundreds of human minds focused simultaneously. The Prometheus engines glowed with brilliant blue light as they began their work. Lieutenant Mason, at the heart of the flux, felt the change first. The chaotic energies around her ship began to smooth to calm. Tears and reality slowly knitted themselves together as the network took effect. "It's working," she whispered. One by one, reports came in from across the galaxy. The void flux was receding. Dimensional stability was returning. The network was holding. In the grand chamber on Harmony Station, cheers erupted from every species as the confirmation appeared on the main display. Human and alien embraced without thought to old divisions. Ambassador Olivia Grant stepped to the center of the room, the same room where she had announced humanity's withdrawal 1 year earlier. "Today marks the beginning of the Galactic Cooperative," she said, her voice strong and clear. "Not a council where some dictate to others, but a true partnership of equals."